Good evening. This is a regular meeting of the Zoning Board of Adjustment for Wednesday, June 21st, 2023. Notice has been given in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act by posting a copy of the notice on the first floor of the municipal building and sending a copy to the Montclair Times. This is a public hearing which any members of the public are welcome to attend. The meeting agenda is available on the Montclair website, as is a link to the township's YouTube channel, where the hearing can be viewed live or after the fact. The hearing is also being televised on channel 34. I'm going to call roll now. Mr. Harrison?
Here.
Mr. McCulloch? Mr. Caulfield is excused. Mr. Church?
Here.
Ms. Harris is also excused. Mr. Moore?
Present.
Mr. Simon?
Here.
Mr. Vieira?
Here.
Ms. Martineau is also excused this evening. Mr. Sullivan?
Here. Okay, we have the minutes of the May 17th meeting. I just have a couple changes. On page 2, on the resolution on the Dish Wireless application, have Ms. Harris dissenting. Shouldn't it be abstaining?
My recollection was that she voted
I don't
on the
think that's
motion.
She voted against the application when we heard it. And
So
shouldn't
she's not eligible to vote on the resolution.
Oh,
so she's
okay.
abstaining.
Well, she voted for the action taken, or she voted against the motion? That was a denial, right?
Right.
She voted against the denial.
Okay, so then she's not eligible to vote.
Got it.
And then on page 11, the second line of the second paragraph, line 4, there's some letters got left off of neighbor. You see that?
Yes.
Any other changes to the minutes? Someone want to move the minutes with those changes?
I'll move the minutes with the changes.
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? I sent changes to the Montclair Historical Society resolution. Does anyone have any changes in addition to those changes, or changes to those changes? If not, someone want to make a motion to approve the resolution as amended?
Make a motion to approve the resolution stated by the chair.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions? The Moss resolution on 56 Crescent, I just have one change. Oh, I should have sent you this. This is not good because I didn't write it. And I'm not reading my writing. We need to add either before or after number 7 that we were in favor. We don't say why we approve the variance, is what I'm trying to spit out. Or what it doesn't say what the variance is from. We discuss the width of the dormers, but we don't discuss the fact that the variance was for the percentage of height over 5 feet 5 or whatever that standard is. So can you add something that we thought that was a good idea, that approving that was the variance we were approving?
Got it.
Okay. I have to abstain. Oh, someone want to move the resolution with that change?
I'll move the resolution with the change.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And any abstentions?
Abstain.
Okay. And then we have the resolution for the property on South Mountain Avenue. I have to abstain, so someone else needs to say whether there are any changes, and if not, move the resolution.
If there's no changes, someone want to move that resolution?
I'll move the resolution. Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And I abstain.
Abstain.
And then we have the resolution for the Howard application on Montclair Avenue. I don't have any changes. Does anyone else have any changes? Not, someone want to move the resolution?
I'll move the resolution, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions?
Abstain.
Okay. We have two requests for extensions. One is for the property on Grove Street at the bottom of Mount Hebron Road. Did they tell you how long?
Yes, so I'll go through that. So the variance approval expires on June 24th, and she's requested 6 months. So it would expire December 24th, 2023.
Why don't we say December 31st, just.
Okay.
Okay, any discussion on a request for extension until December 31st to start construction? If not, someone want to make a motion to approve the request?
I'll make the motion to approve the request, Mr. Chairman.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? And then we have a request for an extension for property on Van Breeman Court. And Tommy, what is?
Yeah, so this expired on September 2nd, 2022. And he has requested a 2-year extension to September 2nd, 2024.
So we could view this as a second 1-year extension if he had come in timely for the original extension.
Correct.
Okay. So any discussion on that?
Yeah, why would you want 2 years?
Because if he does a 1-year extension at this point, it will only get him to September 2023. He's late coming in and asking for the extension by about a year.
Okay, all right.
Okay. Any other discussion? If not, someone want to move approval of the extension?
I'll move the approval of the extension.
I second.
Is that to the beginning of September? What was the date?
The new expiration date will be September 2nd, 2024.
I second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Tommy, you want to announce the postponement?
Yes, application number 2788 for 91 to 99 Maple Avenue. Application of Northern Property Associates LLC for a site plan and use variance for expansion of a plumbing supply business is going to be postponed until the July 19th, 2023 meeting.
If there's anyone here for that application, there will be no further notice, and if you're interested in that, come back in July. Okay, the first application is that of Thomas Hickey. This is an application for variances to construct in addition to the property located at 365 North Fullerton Avenue. The property is in the R11 Family Zone District. The property is designated on the township tax maps as Lot 14 and Block 3410. The proposal requires a variance from Montclair Code Section 347-45C1 to allow a front yard setback from North Fullerton Avenue to the addition of 25.8 feet where 35.9 feet is required or taxes paid, and is the notice in order?
Is the applicant here? And do you have the paperwork for the notice? Can you provide that to me? So, yes.
Mr. Petrie, are you the only one that's going to testify here tonight on behalf of the applicant?
We're hoping that to be the case, yes.
Okay, Mr. Petrie, would you raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth in the matter pending before the board?
I do.
State your name and address, please.
J. Michael Petrie, 155 Passaic Avenue, Fairfield, New Jersey.
And I assume you're going to testify as a professional engineer, professional planner, and anything else in particular?
That's it for tonight.
Okay, and your licenses are still in good standing?
They are, thank you.
Okay, and Mr. Scabilia, would you raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth in the matter pending before the board?
I do.
State your name and your position with the township.
Tommy Sibilia, professional planner, assistant planner for the township, and secretary to the Board of Adjustment.
Thank you.
Okay, proceed.
Mr. Chairman, the subject property is designated as Lot 14 in Block 3410. Is this microphone on? There you go. Subject property is designated as Lot 14 in Block 3410. It is more commonly known as 365 North Fullerton Avenue. The property is a corner lot located on the corner of North Fullerton and Gordonhurst, as shown on the aerial topo map that's on the cover sheet of the plan submitted. The lot is trapezoidal in shape, as shown on the survey that was submitted. Just going to flip the page.
That's a colored version of that, so why don't we just mark that as A1
Okay. I'll mark them all individually.
and see what's in.
Okay. So the second sheet in the set, which will be marked A2, is the survey that was submitted to this board as part of the application process. The, Not necessary.
Yes, good.
There's a total of 4 sheets in the set. The first sheet is aerial topo with tax map superimposed on it. The second sheet is a boundary topographic survey submitted as part of the application. What you'll see on the board marked A2 is that the property is trapezoidal in shape. It has just over 52 feet of frontage along Gordonhurst. It has 156.27 along the frontage of North Fullerton. It contains a total of 10,097 square feet of land. The improvements on the lot include a 2.5-story single-family dwelling that's located towards the Gordonhurst side of the property. It is offset from the right-of-way by a little over 27.5 feet. There is a bituminous driveway off of the North Fullerton frontage that provides vehicular access to a 1.5-car garage that's located in the southeasterly corner of the property. Finally, there's a hot tub that's being constructed right now for anybody who visited the property. That's under a separate permit, and that is currently under construction. We note that the existing front yard setbacks along North Fullerton and Gordonhurst for this house do not meet the required setback based upon the averages set forth in your ordinance. The remaining bulk standards for this property are all compliant. Switching to A4, I know I skipped A3. The applicant is seeking to remove a covered patio that's located at the southerly end of the home. In its place, he's going to construct a single-story addition at that end of the house. The addition will include a new entry along with a sunroom and a mudroom. The proposed addition marries the front of the home along the North Fullerton street frontage and then steps back from there as it goes in a southerly direction. So we're trying to be sympathetic to that North Fullerton frontage. We're marrying the home and then we're stepping back immediately from there. So we step further away. At its closest point, the new addition is 25.80 feet, where the existing home is 20.47 at its closest location. And as it steps back, the most southerly end of the addition is 35.5 feet from the right-of-way line, where 35.9 is the requirement in the zone. In my opinion, the requested variance can be considered under either a C1 or a C2 standard. From a C1 perspective, we're dealing with an existing building on a corner lot. Your ordinance for corner lots states that the lesser frontage is where we measure the width, and the longer frontage is where we measure the depth. In this particular instance, the house faces the street with the longer frontage. If we were required to meet the setback and maintain the required side yard, our house would be less than 15 feet deep at the Gordonhurst frontage. Clearly, that would create a hardship to this homeowner. As it is, the addition has been designed to step back as it goes out, so we're within inches of that required setback at this extreme southerly end, where the lot does get wider. In my opinion, the narrowness of this lot, as well as the location of the existing home as it relates to the right-of-way, are both sufficient to serve the positive criteria for a hardship under the C1 approach. When I look at C2, which I think could also apply here, it's my opinion that the design of the addition continually stepping away from the right-of-way line creates a desirable visual environment, especially compared with the option of setting the addition back to meet that 35.9-foot setback requirement. The remainder of the home would look completely out of character with the remainder of the home. As such, I think that what is proposed and before you this evening, from an architectural perspective, is a much more appropriate look in this neighborhood. In terms of detriments on the C2, I really don't see anything in this particular instance. The applicant's freestanding garage is the structure that is closest to the existing neighbor, and that structure is generally in alignment with that adjacent home. And I think that provides the visual appropriateness as it continues to step back. So when I look at the negative criteria, and I'll start with the public good, given the fact that this addition is a single story and it steps back from the existing home, given the location of the freestanding garage and its relationship to the adjacent home, I would offer that the requested setback variance is appropriate for this location and proposes no significant detriment to the public good. As for the zone plan and zoning ordinance, I think it's important to recognize that the remaining bulk standards, side yard, rear yard, building coverage, impervious coverage, are all in full compliance with your ordinance. What we're looking at is a non-conforming front setback to a principal structure, and there really isn't a practical way to construct the addition to this home that complies without it looking somewhat silly. It's important to remember that we're not constructing the addition in line with the existing setback, we're actually stepping it back even at its closest point. So I don't see a substantial impairment of the zone plan or the zoning ordinance. I know there were a couple of memos issued, and I did take the time to go through them. There are some technical corrections that Boswell has asked for in their letter that we will take care of. I think some of the items that she asked for clarification on, I have provided in testimony as to the status of the hot tub. Item number 6 in her memo says that the public sidewalk along North Fullerton is flagstone, and it's no longer flagstone. It's flagstone in the Google, in the Google Maps section. But if you drive past it, it has been replaced with concrete sometime since the Google Street View in 2018. So we're maintaining concrete at that location, and replacing the section that we're repairing with concrete. The building height is based upon the architectural elevations that were provided to the board, and Austin Scott, the architect, is here if you need to hear from him, but our addition is a single story. It really has no impact on the height. Having surveyed elevations for the roof that exists today, in my opinion, would be a waste of time and money. So we'd ask for a waiver on that requirement in the letter. We will add a note to our plans that reflects the fact that this is a single-story addition. We will take care of the supplemental grading and disturbance areas requested. We will get the existing pipe information for the inlet at the intersection from the surveyor, and we will agree to provide cleanouts at the pipe bends. I think the one other issue is there is no tree removal required for this proposed addition. There are a couple of shrubs that will be impacted between the addition and the hot tub area as part of the deck construction, but there are replacement shrubs that are being installed as part of the screening for the hot tub that are on that application and included in the plans that were submitted there. And I think the final, number 21, is requesting an as-built survey. I don't know, this is a single-family home. As I said, it meets all of the requirements. I don't see where we're not even close to them, so I kind of feel like that's a little bit onerous on the applicant, but I'll leave that to the board's determination. That's all I have.
Mr. Moore, do you have any questions?
No questions.
Mr. Church?
No, not at this time.
Mr. Simon?
Just if I'm reading this correctly, so this is extending out approximately 17 feet from the existing? From the
17 feet from the facade, from the existing facade, but there is a covered porch there. If you, I'm going to flip back to the photos for a second, because that's the one I skipped. All right, so this is the facade that we're adding to. This is as shown on A3 in the bottom photo. There's a covered porch at the rear of the house today, and that covered porch is being removed, and the addition is going from the facade out approximately 17 feet. But if you were looking at it from the end of where that covered porch is, it's probably about 11 feet.
11 feet past the existing covered porch.
Yes.
I'm about to ask how much more construction is expected at this house.
You can ask.
I mean, there's been a lot going on this property. It's ever expanding. How much more do the owners have planned in terms of construction or expansion?
The owner's here. My understanding is that this is a space that they felt they needed for entertaining. They've met their need for their bedroom spaces with their 2020 application. That's constructed. I think I think the final product, when you look at it,
Yeah.
is very attractive and very in keeping with the neighborhood. So
So in terms of this new space, I didn't see a layout. It's just an empty space, so
it's a sunroom with a mudroom.
So I don't know if you answered the question. Is there anything else planned?
Sorry.
Not if I'm
I know that feeling. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Vieira?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can you talk about the proposed detention basin as far as the stormwater management and what is that? Where is that going to be?
So yes, there's I think on our sheet SP2, there is a subsurface system provided in the front of the property along the existing area that abuts the North Fullerton Avenue right-of-way. We don't have terrific soils here. So we do have a system with a pipe that has connections from all of the roof leaders, from the addition and from the garage that connect into the subsurface system. And that subsurface system is a 32 linear feet of 36-inch pipe, and it does have a 4-inch connection to the existing inlet at the corner of North Fullerton and Gordonhurst. And it meets the required storage set forth in your ordinance for a minor application. We are required to have 231 cubic feet of storage, and we are providing 247 cubic feet of storage.
And just to be clear, that is just storage and then discharge, not infiltration, correct?
It's not infiltration because the soils will not work. They're too clay.
And you're okay with the item number 11 on Boswell Engineering report? You have provided the calculations.
Yes, what Boswell is asking for is that the survey doesn't show the existing pipe information of how this storm sewer in the street moves from there, whether it comes across and down Gordonhurst. It doesn't show the size of the pipe that we're tying into, and they've asked us to include that. We do show the invert of our pipe tying into the inlet, but we don't have the pipes going out, and she asks that we confirm that, and yes, we will do that.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
I just want to clarify, going through Boswell's memo as to which conditions are you saying you're not willing to comply with? It's probably the most efficient way to do this.
That is-
Number 6, I understand.
Yes.
Number 10 isn't a condition, so.
Right. Number 6, number 7.
What's the issue with number 7?
Number 7, she asks that we survey the existing ridge elevations to provide the height. We're adding a 1-story addition, it's a 2.5-story house. We're not affecting the height. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know what the benefit is of establishing the height of the existing building.
Okay, go on.
And number 21, which asks for an as-built survey.
I guess my issue on that is, I mean, I would normally agree on a single family, and can be convinced is what we don't have, unless I'm mistaken, is anything that shows the relationship of the hot tub to what's going to be built. I mean, going out there, I saw where it was, but it was hard for me to picture that in terms of the built addition. Is it, is it right next to it? Is it 2 feet away?
I understand your statement, Mr. Chairman. We tried to graphically depict it, but I think that we can provide documentation as to where that is with some dimensions to where the addition's going to be,
I
if that
think
helps.
if you did it, not a full survey, but survey the addition in the hot tub or the rear wall, the westerly wall and the southerly wall of the addition in the hot tub, I think would then give everyone in the town would know exactly where everything is in relationship to each other and confirm your addition is where it is said it is in terms of not being closer to the front yard, further encroaching the front yard further than what we're giving relief for. Does that sound like a?
It's not an unreasonable request.
Then I had, Okay, so my understanding from your testimony is the Japanese maple that's at the corner of the house now, that's staying, and the shrubs that are kind of in the middle of the construction zone now, they're gone.
That is correct.
Okay. Any other questions from members of the board?
If the Japanese maple were leaving, it would be in my trunk right now, so.
Um,
Too beautiful a specimen to lose.
Are there any members of the public who either have questions about this application, any testimony, statements, anything you want to say about the application? Okay. Mr. Petrie, is there anything further you want to say before we discuss and vote on the application?
No, Mr. Chairman, I think we've covered it.
We'll start discussion with Mr. Moore.
I'm generally in favor of the application. I don't see it posing a hardship to any of the neighbors. I think that it will enhance the property. And it's good that you're putting drainage, additional drainage at your home. And should we make a condition regarding the survey that we just spoke
I
about?
have
So,
a suspicion that Mr. Harris is going to address that.
okay. So I am generally.
We'll also note that you think we should do that as well.
Excellent, excellent. So I'm generally in favor of the application.
Okay. Mr. Church?
Yeah, I am in favor of the application. I find that it's definitely not a detriment to the overall neighborhood. In fact, it blends in. And it's not a detriment to the overall plans for this, that area of the township. Therefore, I'd vote in favor of it.
Okay, Mr. Simon?
I'm in favor.
Mr. Vieira?
I'm also in favor of the application. I think my concern was really the increase impervious coverage, but the engineer has addressed my concern, so I'm in favor.
Okay, I'm also in favor. I think, the prior edition that was approved looks, fantastic, and, I think it's likely this will be built in the same thoughtfulness as that addition. I think because of the way the property is angled, this addition is, well, it's within the setback. It's actually going to be set back further from North Fullerton than the house is, and as the testimony was, it's going to be set back further as it's stepped back, so it'll be close to conforming at its rear corner. I don't think there'll be any substantial detriment to the public good or any substantial impairment of the zone plan. We should I guess that's a better way to do this. We approve it with a condition that no trees will be removed and they adhere to engineer's conditions 4, 5, 8, 9, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, 17 isn't really a condition, 18, 19, 20, and that 21 is modified, so the as-built survey is only for the west and south walls of the addition and the hot tub. Any further discussion? If not, someone want to make a motion to approve it with those conditions?
I make a motion to approve the application consistent with the restrictions stated by the chair.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Enjoy the rest of your meeting.
The next application is that of Clifford Virgin. This is an application for bulk variances to expand an existing detached garage on the property located at 124 Bellevue Avenue. The property is in the R1 one-family zone. and is designated on the township tax maps as Lot 8 in Block 3507. The proposal requires a variance from Montclair Code Section 347-46A1 to allow an accessory structure of 15 feet 10 inches in height where a maximum of 15 feet is permitted. Proposal requires a variance from Montclair Code Section 347-46A2A to allow a side yard setback of 1.83 where 6 feet is required. The proposal requires a variance from Montclair Code Section 347-22F to allow an accessory structure to have a building footprint dimension of 29 feet 10 inches where a maximum of 24 feet in any one direction is permitted. Our taxes paid, and it's a notice and order.
Yes.
Would you both raise your right hands? Do you swear to tell the truth in the matter pending before the board? State your names and addresses, please.
My name is Clifford Virgin. I'm at 124 Bellevue Avenue in Montclair, New Jersey.
John Remnitz, architect, 105 Grove Street, Montclair, New Jersey.
Mr. Remnitz, you're a licensed architect in the state of New Jersey, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Scabilia, would you raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth in the matter pending before the board?
I do.
Just state your name and position in the township.
Tommy Sibilia, Assistant Planner, Secretary to the Board of Adjustment.
Thank you.
Okay, proceed to explain what you're doing.
Well, I just wanted to say thank you very much for seeing us. I've lived at 124 Bellevue Avenue since August of 1999, and I just acquired a classic car that I've had since college. I have pictures of it if anybody would like to see. I brought them with me. I just want to expand my garage to add extra room for that car, and that's why I'm here this evening.
I'll walk you through and just describe what we're doing. Essentially, we're just adding approximately we're extruding the existing garage out the back 9 feet along the same line that it is now. It's an existing non-conforming accessory building in that it's 1.83 feet off the side lot line, and it's also 15 foot 10 inches to the peak. We are proposing only an addition at the back, and where we're putting the addition, the adjoining property, if you look at one of the photos in the planning, in your planning document, figure 5 gives you a photo looking down the driveway towards the existing garage. The adjoining property at 126, their driveway travels all along that side lot line all the way to the back to their garage. So this garage does not face the yard per se directly. It faces the driveway of the neighbor going all the way back to the backyard. Our variances, one variance is we'll be increasing the level of nonconformity in that stepping back our 9 foot 1 inches, we're within that side yard setback. We are proposing to line up this addition in the back with the peak of the existing roof. The peak of the existing roof is 15 foot 10. So that's, it creates the other variance, and we're doing that to try to make it all match in. The final variance that we need is the maximum dimension for an accessory building structure in this zone. I believe in the R0 zone, right? It's allowed, this doesn't apply. This is actually a fairly large site, a large piece of property on Bellevue Avenue. It's about 20,000 square feet. So I would suggest it's not overscaled for the piece of property that it's on. We decided to move in this direction to simply do something very simple, just to add to the back of the garage, to create a 3-car garage instead of tearing it all down, moving it off 6 feet and creating a whole new structure. The view from Bellevue Avenue will not change. It'll be the same view that Figure 5 in the photos shows. Everything will be behind this existing garage. In terms of water, we're under the maximum square footage for to provide engineering. We do have gutters that run along the eaves at the bottom and dump into my client's backyard. Actually, the addition replaces a brick patio that is behind the existing garage. That's the sum total of my testimony.
Mr. Moore, do you have any questions?
Your intent for the accessory unit? Does
Oh.
anyone live in it, or-
I'm sorry, there are 3 points that the planning document asked to respond to. Let me respond to those. Thank you. The first one was applicant should clarify whether this is intended to be addition or tear down. We're proposing just to do an addition in the back. Tear down would mean a much larger project and not within the ability of my client to do at this point in time. We thought this was a relatively simple addition. And we would not be able to get 3 cars into just a simple addition in the back. In terms of the upper level, it's not meant to be.
Storage.
Storage.
Just gonna be storage.
It doesn't have the height to be a habitable space, which is something that I have an opinion on in terms of the ADU, the most recent ADU sort of ordinance, but it doesn't have the height to create a habitable space, so it's just going to be storage.
Thank you.
Mr. Church, do you have any questions?
You're turning this into a 3-car garage?
Correct.
How's that going to work?
2 cars in tandem, and one on the other side.
If you look at the proposed garage plan on A200, in the lower, number 3, it says proposed garage plan. You'll see dotted in 2 cars stacked and another car to the side.
So you're going to put 2 tandem and 1 by itself.
That's right.
Correct.
The 2 tandem, are those cars used all the time, or?
So like I
that
said,
be stored?
I have a a 1973 car that I've just restored.
Uh-huh.
That's one that if you look at one of the pictures, it's under a car
Car.
cover.
Yeah, I saw that.
I'd be more than happy to give you, if you don't mind, do you mind if I give you pictures of the car?
It's up to you.
It's up to you.
Excuse me.
How many pictures are you going to present?
Just 2.
Okay, so we're going to mark them as A1 and A2. Okay. And they're photographs of this 1973.
That's a Triumph GT6. I think I brought enough for everybody. I had this car in college, and I had it restored. So it's just, if you notice in this picture, there's bicycles behind it and everything like that. So it's kind of cramped when it's in there, that picture there.
Okay.
So what I'm doing is I'm expanding the back. This will be the one, I'll leave it in the back of the tandem. Does everyone have pictures?
So this one won't be moved?
This is the one that, the insurance only has 1,000 miles a year on it. I don't drive it much. I like to drive it on Sundays, like that. And it doesn't have any air conditioning in it. It does have heat, but that's the one that'll probably stay undercover all the way in the back. Thank you.
So
Does that
the
answer your
addition's
question?
really to accommodate storage for this car?
And other items that I have in my garage, like a snow blower, things like that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Simon, do you have any questions?
No, no questions.
Mr. Vieira, do you have any questions?
Do you require, I guess the foundation has to be changed, or is the foundation long enough for the addition?
We will be extending the foundation 9 feet in the back.
Yeah, okay.
The existing slab on grade and existing foundation is carrying the existing garage, and we tend to do the addition behind that. We are adding 4 dormers at the roof to try to dress up what this thing looks like, to be, make it aesthetically more pleasing. That's really it.
And you said the leaders will be discharging into the property,
On my property.
on your property?
They start at the garage door, they run to the back, the gutters, and then the leaders dump out the back, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so do the dormers serve a function other than aesthetic?
Just to let some light up in there. I can imagine Cliff hanging out up there sometimes, but again, it's not to sleep or live or whatever. Cliff showed me some images of his dream garage at one point, and it had dormers in it, so that's what we did.
Okay, so I'm assuming you're removing the existing rear wall of the garage?
Yeah, and that's, sorry.
Okay, so how are you going to support the garage roof while you're doing that?
We propose to it's a whole construction issue. How do we get to the rear of the garage? How do we build this? So we're proposing just to tear out the rear. The existing roof is held with collar ties. It's not held by the back wall of the garage. The back wall of the garage we're going to take out and just expand it out the back.
You're taking a structure that is, currently much too close to the property line and much closer than we would normally allow, and bringing it back further, but not only that, you're putting dormers that are going to have a much greater effect than a roof that's sloping away from the property line does. And are the dormers on the west side,
Yeah, I just asked Cliff, is he willing to give up the dormers on the west side so it all slopes away from the property line? He says yes.
That's a deal breaker.
The other question is, did you consider putting the addition on the east side of the garage so it would be in a conforming location?
We did. It changes the slope of the roof, the view of the garage from the street. It would require, you don't see there's some trellis work and some backyard work that would get torn up in order to do that. We didn't go in that direction. We thought it would be just very simple to go out the back and keep it as discreet as possible.
Okay, and then you're going to have the space next to where the classic car will be stored. That will be available for storage.
That's,
Well, we show 3 cars. The 3 smaller cars are the classic cars. What's this car here? It's your wife's truck, okay, the larger. In front of that larger car, there'll be room for storage. Yeah, that area, yeah. Excuse
garage
me?
is not heated currently, no. We're not gonna have any heat in the garage. We do have electricity in there, but there's no heat right
The garage on the neighbor's property to the west is set back much further than your garage.
It's set back all the way in the corner. The driveway runs all along our
So-
side lot line.
You're next to their driveway,
Yeah.
but then you have their backyard
That's
rather than
correct.
a
That's
garage
correct.
next to you.
Yeah.
Okay, other questions from members of the board? Are there any members of the audience who have questions, statements, testimony, anything you want to say about this application? Anything further either of you want to say before we discuss and vote on the application? Okay, we'll start discussion with Mr. Church.
The application does not really change much of what you see when you look directly down the driveway. My feeling is that the garage is going to look basically the same, but the extension in the back will destroy, or you'll get rid of the trellis and that back patio.
I'm going to have the back patio rebuilt once the garage is done.
Okay, but that, which you,
There's a formal garden back there right now.
yes.
I'm going to
I
have
see
that
it.
redone.
Okay, so you're going to take this out to make the extension, then redo it,
Yes.
okay? And there's no, your need then is just to take that back wall out and then construct the same, going right back. Okay, I have no objections to that. I don't see that it changes anything from the viewpoint of Bellevue Avenue. You don't see it. I had to walk down the driveway to find it. It's not easy to see from the street, so it's not a detriment to the neighborhood. I would be in favor of the application.
Mr. Simon?
Just a quick question. So behind the single space, these are stairs leading up to is it a wraparound stair or is it just one level? Because the
It's a
way
ver-
it's,
Go ahead, I'm
the
sorry.
way it's shown here, in terms of where you intend to store all the bikes and other stuff that's visible in the picture, I don't see you gaining any space there unless you plan on dragging bikes up and down the stairs.
Well, if you look at it, it starts in the corner, you step up to a platform, you go up some steps, and then you go some other steps, so it does wrap
So it does wrap
around in
around.
a way.
So how much space will you have from behind the proposed?
I'm going to say you're going from the front fender of the bigger car to where the stair starts,
The
not
la-
not
the
where it's
landing.
above you, where you would hit is about 8 feet.
So against the back wall, that's the elevators, obviously.
I'm
So-
sorry?
So the area closest to where the car is proposed, where that extends into the existing, that's gonna be the leading stair, or is that the elevation at the top of the loft?
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question.
So it's an L shape, right? You going
Yeah, it's a
up on-
U shape in a way. You
Yeah,
go on the-
so I'm saying,
turn-
what's on the ground floor? Which end? The end closest
The
to the
end
rear
in the
bumper?
corner is on the ground floor.
Oh, in the very corner of the
In the
garage.
very corner is the first
Got
step.
it, that's what I was trying to make.
Because we need to end up at the high point of the peak. By the time we get up there, we won't have any headroom. We only have about 7 feet when you get up there at the peak, so it's not really, it's hard to use it
Yeah.
really.
Okay, got it. Yeah, I'm in favor.
Okay, Mr. Vieira?
I'm also in favor.
You know, I just have fundamental problems. You're creating a structure that's larger than allowed, that's closer to the side yard, and, you know, the height, rather than going from, you know, the single peak, which is probably a very small area of the roof that's over the 15 feet allowed by ordinance, the dormers are creating a much larger area that is exceeding the height that's allowed by the ordinance, and and not that we would not, there would not still be variances, but I'm not really understanding the, you know, there's going to be disruption to the existing yard, whether you expand it to the rear or to the east side of the existing garage, and I'm not understanding why it's precluded. And I guess my other view is, then why not just extend the garage on the side away from the neighbor's property to accommodate the 2 cars and still have room for the 3rd car. I'm not supportive of the application as it was presented. I'm not readily coming up with conditions that don't ineffectively do the whole thing. The one question that, they indicate a willingness to remove the dormers on the west side, so they're not, really directly adjacent to the neighbor's property. But any further discussion on board members?
They also stipulated that the upper level of the garage would be storage only.
And there would be the normal condition that the stormwater be directed to stay on their property. Someone want to make a motion, or we can have further discussion?
Did you get public comment?
We did.
We did? Oh, sorry, I'm out of it.
Sometimes I forget, so it's good to say. It's better to speak up and,
You may have forgotten Mr. Moore in the deliberation.
oh, Mr. Yes, I did do that.
I'm in favor of the application. I think that it would, I don't necessarily have any questions. I think that if it's not a living unit and, looking at pictures, it would only enhance this garage space. You have a deep driveway. I'm in favor.
Someone should make a motion,
I make a motion to approve the application.
subject to those 3 conditions that we outlined.
Yes.
The conditions being no dormers.
The upper level of the garage is storage only. The dormers on the westerly side shall be removed, and the stormwater shall be directed to stay on the property.
Okay, second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? No.
Okay, the application's approved.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Next application is for bulk variance to construct a rear addition for property located at 109 Union Street. The property is in an R1 one-family zone. The property is designated on the township tax maps as Lot 13 and Block 2201. Proposal requires a variance from Montclair Code Section 347-45D to allow a rear yard setback of 38.05 feet where 59.92 feet is required. Are taxes paid, and is the notice in order?
Yes.
Would you two raise your right hands? Do you swear to tell the truth in the matter pending before the board? State
do.
your names and addresses.
Ike Ibeh, I'm the owner, 109 Union Street.
Javier Fuentes, the architect. Javier Fuentes, the architect, 422 Woodland Ave.
Can you spell
Roselle
your
Park.
last name, please?
Yeah. Fuentes.
Okay, and you're a licensed architect in the state of New Jersey?
I am.
And Mr. Scabilia, would you raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth in the matter pending before the board?
I do.
Would you state your name and position with the township?
Tommy Sibilia, professional planner, assistant planner, and secretary to the Board of Adjustment.
Thank you so much. So here we have the addition for 109 Union Street in Montclair. And on the left, you can see here is the existing 3D, and the right is the proposed addition that we're doing. One of the interesting things is that we're really kind of falling inside of the same footprint of what the building is, and we're reducing it slightly because there's a stair that goes towards the back, but it's being removed. So the expansion isn't really exacerbating the condition of what the footprint looks like now. It's just we're trying to make it a little bit better and a little more usable for the home. Due to the irregularity of the lot size, of the lot shape, it forces us into this rear yard condition, that the rear yard setback is 59 and 59.92 based on our percentage of 25% of the lot depth. And because of that condition, we are existing non-conforming. This is an existing non-conforming depth, and we're still maintaining that. We're not exacerbating that, but the addition is changing the envelope, as you can see. I'm going to walk you through the plans so you can kind of get a good picture of the layout. So we have our, family room, living room, hall space, dining room. Towards the back, we have our kitchen space. It's really kind of like a hodgepodge piece put together of we have a stove, an island, a second island, another countertop with a sink, and so it's kind of all over the place. So the intent is to renovate it, to expand, to make it a little bit better and useful in the family gathering. So the existing elevations, you can get a good picture of what the existing house looks like from the side and rear where the expansion is happening. There's an existing covered front back rear porch. The porch continues across and it connects to the stone patio, raised patio. And then you can see on the side elevation we have this dormer off to the side, which we're maintaining. But the expansion that we're doing is to enhance the space a little bit better and create a connection with that space on the outside. So in our plan for the proposed idea that we have here, we're going to expand and create a bigger, nicer kitchen, much more efficiently laid out with a mudroom space and a pantry that takes over the area where we have the existing covered deck porch area. And there's a smaller deck that's off of this to be able to exit out and step out from there. And then being able to expand into this family room space that sort of marries the kitchen with it. One of the things that we found in the progression in architecture of the open concept is that the kitchens have changed in the way that we utilize them now, right? They're more of a focal point. They're more of a congregational space. So that's kind of the intent, the idea behind it. And lastly, we have the proposed additions, our rear and side elevations. You can see on the side elevation, we've maintained that existing dormer that was there, but on the rear elevation, we've enhanced the style. The intent overall is really to celebrate the architectural style of the Tudor and bring alive the design and bring some really nice features to it that could further enhance it and celebrate it. And we recently presented to HPC on the 8th, and with their full support, we were approved for the design that we've come up with for. That is the conclusion of our presentation, and open it up to questions and comments.
Any reason why you can't keep the existing space that you have with what you're trying to do?
Yeah, the way it's currently laid out really isn't conducive to how I wanted my family to live. There's really not a space for a pantry or mudroom space back how they currently had it. The addition that they currently put there really didn't make too much sense to us. So I think the way Javier laid it out is more conducive to how my current family lives.
I have no question.
So how, you're going out to where the steps, the current steps start, right? That's how far out the building?
So it stops at where, right where the deck, covered porch stops. So right here, if you see this space right here, the expansion goes out this way.
Right,
So it
it's
stops
not
right at that
along
edge.
the-
Yeah, and this stairway that's there is no longer there.
And in terms of the width of the mudroom, that 10.7, look like the proposed. That would just bring it up in line with the existing wall of that little notch.
Yes. Right. Yes, it's all in line.
That's all.
Thank you.
Yeah, what I'm struggling with is so your required setback is 59 feet.
Mhm.
Is the property non-conforming currently?
Yes,
Okay.
it is, yeah. It's due to the irregularity of the shape, and the way that we had to calculate it was based on the lot depth, and so you can imagine it's like going from, it wasn't going from here, it wasn't going from here, it was going from all the way at the back, right? So that really kind of pushes us at that point, and we had to unfortunately look for a variance, seek a variance for this.
And that's the only
Yeah.
variance, right? Yeah.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
the only variance,
Yeah.
correct.
Okay. All right.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course, thank you.
Tommy, the deck would count as being within the setback, correct?
My understanding is yes, but I would need to confirm that with the zoning officer, who's the one that flagged this as a variance application.
But I'm trying to figure out where the current setback, how close.
My understanding is because there's a roof over it, that it does count as part of the principal structure.
Mr. Fuentes, my understanding is you're not going back any further than the current deck location, is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
And the stairs that currently goes further, which it doesn't count against the setback, those aren't there, and you're now having steps come out on the side.
That is correct,
And
yes.
impervious coverage is actually decreasing because
Yeah.
we're moving those steps.
Any other questions, from board members? Are there any members of the audience who have questions, statements, testimony, anything you want to say about the application? Okay, anything further either of you want to add before you discuss the application?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll start with Mr. Simon.
I'm in favor. They're using existing lines. Doesn't seem to be exacerbating any of the existing conditions. And so, nice modern layout, so I'm in favor.
Mr. Vieira,
Yeah, I'm also in favor.
Mr. Moore,
I'm also in favor of the application. I think it'll be a beautiful addition to your house.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Church.
Thank you.
I'm in favor.
I'm also in favor. This is a very happy application, given the prior visit of this property to this board. I think, they're not going further than the existing deck. I think, the improvements they're proposing make sense. It's not going to present a substantial impairment to the zone plan or substantial detriment to the public good. We should impose conditions 3 through 5 in the Historic Preservation Commission's report. Someone want to make a motion?
I make a motion to approve this application with the restrictions of 3 and 5.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you so
Go
much.
and
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for salvaging the house.
We
Something
understand there's a lot of
beautiful.
history here, so we appreciate it. It's going to come out nice, hopefully.
Yeah, it will. It definitely will. I also want to say thank you so much. It's the first time I've gotten to present in front of you in person. I've presented before in Zoom, so it's really nice to see all of you in person.
And we're
Thank
happy
you.
to be here live in person, too.
Yeah, take care. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Tommy. Thank you.
Okay. The next application is that of Kyle Anthony Hopkins and Christina Maria Kamilaris. This is an application for a use variance to construct additions to an existing two-family house on property located at 408 Grove Street. The property is in the R1 one-family zone district and is designated on the township tax maps as Lot 29 and Block 3502. The proposal requires variance from Montclair Code Section from statute 4050D-70D2 to expand a pre-existing non-conforming two-family use. Before we go any further, as you can see, we are only 5, and you need 5 votes. You have choices of going home, which I would appear you're not going to do until we have more members here, proceeding and deciding when you're at the conclusion whether you want to proceed to a vote or wait till we have more members, or just blindly going to a vote and not even thinking about it. But I assume you want to proceed.
Yes, we'd like to proceed.
And you want to swear them in, and
Yeah, would
are
you-
taxes paid and notice? I think I skipped over that, too.
Yes.
Would you both raise your right hands? Do you swear to tell the truth in the matter pending before the board?
I do.
State your names and addresses, please.
I'm Kyle Hopkins at 408 Grove Street.
Karen Brinkman, I'm the architect, 162 Orange Road, Montclair.
And Ms. Brinkman, you're a licensed architect in the state of New Jersey, correct?
Yes.
And Mr. Scabilia, would you raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth in the matter pending before the board?
I do.
State your name and position with the township.
Tommy Sibilia, professional planner, assistant planner, and secretary to the Board of Adjustment.
Thank you. If you would like to be sworn in, we're having a swearing-in party right now, so raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth in the matter pending before the board?
I do.
State your name.
Michael J. Pesolano, licensed professional planner in the state of New Jersey.
And your license is in good standing, correct?
3058 Center Street, issued in 1980.
And your business address?
140 Elmwood Avenue, Pagoda, New Jersey.
Thank you.
Ms. Brinkman, welcome back, and
you.
proceed.
What we have before you is an existing 2.5-story, 2-family house. The owner unit is on the first floor. There's a rental unit on the second floor. The structure was built circa 1890.
Microphone's not on.
Good? No. Okay. Do you want me to start over? Or? Yeah, okay. This is an existing 2.5-story, 2-family house. There's an owner unit on the first floor. There's a rental unit on the second floor. The structure was built circa 1890. The property was acknowledged as a 2-family structure in the 1960s resolution. The goal of the additions and renovations is to maintain the 2-family status. We are looking to reconfigure the first floor to create a more functional layout. Currently, there is one bathroom that is not located near the bedrooms. You have to walk through one bedroom to get to another. So by squaring off that front area, we can create 3 bedrooms and create a bathroom on the first floor. We are also looking to add a primary suite for the owner's unit that will be partially located, that's going to be located on the second floor, which will be partially located over the existing sunroom, and that will be in the rear. All of the additions are located in the rear yard. They're minimally visible from the street. The additions maintain the scale and style that is compatible with the neighborhood. It maintains the single-family character of the structure. Per the master plan, we feel that the addition is a quiet background building and is not detrimental to the character of the neighborhood. If approved, materials will be chosen to follow the Secretary of Interior standards guidelines. In the planning memo, it was noted that we should address parking. There is an existing driveway and parking area that is quite large. This area can currently accommodate the 4 cars that will be needed for the additions. And there's plenty of room to reconfigure paving if needed to alter the parking. And we have some photographs of parking that we can submit as exhibits.
I'll show you. Oh,
Yeah.
sure.
Okay, how many photographs do we have?
So there are one set of 3 photos on here. I just marked up on a few of them because it's hard to see where the driveway and where the grass starts. So I just marked up kind of where the
So it's a single sheet with 3 photographs on it?
Single sheet with 3 photos.
Okay, we're going to mark that as A1.
See, are you, do you have
That's,
it?
That is the end of sort of the architectural testimony, and we have planning testimony as well.
I assumed he was not here for, okay. Mr. Moore, do you have any questions on the architectural testimony?
No.
Mr. Church?
Yeah, you've got 2 additions going on this.
Correct.
The first floor addition is what, or I didn't hear it, or I didn't catch what you said.
So if you look on sheet A3, you will see there is a hatched area on the first floor plan where we are creating a bedroom at the back of the existing, what is an existing bedroom. So if you look at drawing 1 on sheet A3, so we're doing 1 addition in the front behind an existing bedroom. And basically what used to be a porch that was at one point enclosed. And then we're extending the existing sunroom 6 feet out in the rear. So that will create a larger area at the rear, and then we're putting a master suite above that.
So if I'm looking at this, you got a new bedroom in the back on the first floor.
On the first floor, correct.
So it's going to give you 3 bedrooms on the first floor and a new bath.
Correct.
Now, on the second floor, is that where the other addition is?
Correct. So it's going, we're putting a second floor on top of the existing sunroom to create a primary suite up there, which will include a bedroom and a bathroom.
Now, is that part of the rental unit or part of?
No, it's part of the first floor unit.
Part of the first floor.
So that'll be separate, we'll have, fire separation is required by code, between that and the adjacent second floor rental unit. But
How does that work? I mean, how does the resident on the second floor, how does he access it?
he doesn't.
He doesn't.
I would access it from
There's
from the first floor. We'd have a stairwell going in through the sunroom up to the second floor primary suite.
So the second floor bedroom is for the primary?
Yes, yeah, correct.
So there's no change to the rental unit?
Correct.
Oh, that unit stays exactly the same?
Yes.
It's just your units that's changing?
Beginning first floor.
Right. I mean, we looked at a number of different ways to try and configure this, but by building on top of the existing first floor, right, I'm building on top of this existing first floor sunroom, we were minimizing the impact to building coverage, lot coverage. This, has less of an impact environmentally on the footprint.
Mr. Simon?
So, on the first floor plan, the new storage, that's coming out as well? So that is an extension of?
Yes, so basically anything that has shown hatched, that's new construction.
And why is that new? Why not just go along the existing line?
Because we couldn't get a full bathroom up there in order to have the stairs come up and have room to turn around. There wasn't enough space to actually create a bedroom and a bathroom on top of the existing footprint. So by coming out 6 feet, that gave us the additional space that was required to create usable space on the second floor. But we're totally within, I mean, we have plenty of room in that backyard to, and you know, we're nowhere even near, you know, the rear yard setback.
Excuse me, but the new bedroom you're proposing is almost 19 feet, 18.9, 18.9. Whereas, how big is the existing sunroom? You're not,
Well,
the extension that, if I'm reading this correctly, you're extending out 6 feet.
Correct.
Which, on the diagram below is not marked, it kind of coincide with where you have the toilet. But if you were to like just reduce that size and not come out as much, or am I missing something? Because this is a full extension on the back. It's not.
Right, but this is all as of right. We're only here for a use variance.
When you say it's as of right, you mean that you're otherwise complying with all the bulk requirements.
Correct.
But this is a non-conforming two-family use.
Right.
Which technically is being expanded, well, it is being expanded, which is
Yes.
why you need the D2
Correct,
variance.
right. So what we have is there are very high ceiling heights, and so if you notice on drawing 2 on sheet A3, where we have the stairs, actually drawings 1 and 2 on sheet A3, right? So we have stairs coming up, and in order to get the rise to get to the second floor, I have to have a very long stair run. And so in order to fit those stairs in, right, I have to have a landing at the top. And so there was no way to do that and put this on top of the without expanding the existing footprint. I mean, I didn't do a stair section because we're not really at that level yet, but I figured it out mathematically.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can you talk about the proposed and existing HVAC, the condensers outside?
A little bit, yeah. And again, we're sort of, we don't usually get into addressing mechanical systems at this stage, so we're kind of trying to do a couple of things here. But currently, there are mini-split units, so there are wall-mounted and exterior-mounted condensing units, so those will probably stay. There is room to put condensing units in the back, in the property, that will be within, you know, the required setbacks, so I don't see that as being a detriment or an issue.
Okay, and you've seen I'm assuming that you've seen the HPC's report that
Correct, yes,
talks about the HPC, and you will consider moving it?
We can definitely look at that. The HPC report also notes that it is to be screened. I think it currently is screened because you can't see it from the street. It's totally behind bushes.
Okay.
So.
And I guess the other question I have, I'm not sure if it's for you or the planner, but so your house is a two-family house in a one-family zone, and that's why you're asking the variance. Are
Correct.
there any other homes that are two families around or close to to the house that you know
I
Not-
can't answer that.
Of my immediate neighbors that I know of, I'm not aware of any existing two families.
But as what we have on documentation is that this has been used as a two-family home for close to 50 years, and that was acknowledged in a resolution in the 1960s.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Just, I want to follow up on Mr. Vieira's questions on the HVAC units, and so there are currently how many units that are in the front yard?
There's just one.
There's one mini split condenser.
And have you looked into the feasibility of relocating that?
Since our meeting with HPC, no, but I mean, that's typically, mini splits are usually fairly easy to relocate, I mean, because you just have one pipe, but.
It would be fairly reasonable to move it to the side if that's the recommendation. I don't see any issue with doing that.
So I just, Mr. Hopkins, you said that you would relocate that AC unit to the side or rear yard?
If that is the request of the board, yes.
And have you reviewed the other conditions of the HPC? And do you have any issues with the?
No,
other-
I think they're all reasonable, and, things like doing a roof plan, adding gutters, all of that would be part of the construction documents if we are approved.
And apart from the addition, I did have a question, which is not particularly relevant to the variance. You're eliminating the existing walk that goes from the parking area to the house. You're proposing a new stoop. How are people going from the parking area? How are they accessing both units?
Well, currently, there are stairs going up from the driveway to the second floor unit. So if you look on drawing 4 on sheet A3, you can see there's a small covered porch on the north side of the house, and so the second floor has its own access, and that's currently from stairs that are directly adjacent to the driveway.
Okay, I guess what I'm trying to understand is the note on the site plan you prepared says remove steps, walk, and I'm trying to relate that to their access to their unit.
Oh, we're removing the steps and walk that go to the first floor unit at the rear. That has nothing to do with the second floor. So the second floor access is off of the driveway, and that will stay the same. There's no change to their access. And the access to the first floor unit, the owner's unit, there's still a front door will remain in use, but the back door is just going to lead out to the yard.
Okay, but when they park in the driveway, logically, they would be walking in the back door then, rather than walking all the way around the house to
Correct.
the front door, I assume.
Right.
And just now, they'll walk over a small lawn area rather than the walk that's there, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Any other questions from members of the board? Okay.
Are you doing the siding of around the entire house so it conforms, or will it just be like an addition?
Those are some of the things that we'll start to address if approved. As I said, our goal is to, typically you try and, in following the Secretary of Interior standards guidelines, we can do a couple of different things. We can either try to mimic the existing siding, we can do something totally different. There is a little bit of a setback there, but, whatever siding we use, it's something that's going to be compatible, but I would note that it's at the rear of the house, so pretty much anything that we do back there is not going to be visible from the street. But, our goal is, we typically try to be compatible with what's there.
Thank you.
Sure.
Time for your planning testimony.
Okay, hello, everyone. Thank you for staying with everybody into the evening. I pledge not to keep you too long.
How is this? Okay, wow, what a difference. I do have a planning exhibit to distribute that will help absorb what I'm about to say.
Mark that as A2.
Gladly. Tommy, would you be so kind as to send it around? While A2 is being distributed, I do have to say that I visited the property and walked all around the neighborhood, taking note of building conditions, open spaces between them, et cetera. I noted no nearby two-family dwellings in my perambulation around the subject property. I noted it was a very nice neighborhood, filled with charm and character, and the subject proposal that's been described before my testimony has indicated an intention to retain and enhance that character. I'm very pleased to be part of this very good project. So A2, so everybody's got one. A2 is a 5-page planning exhibit prepared by myself. The sheets, I'll just go through it. Sheet 1 of A2 shows a tax map superimposed over an aerial image obtained from an online resource, and the subject property is highlighted in yellow with the small house icon in a balloon in the middle of lot number 29. And this shows the tax situation more than anything else. Sheet 2 is simply an excerpt from the township zoning map, and the blue balloon icon with a house in it. In the middle, in the center of that image, shows the subject property in the R1 zone where 65-foot lot widths are required. Sheet 3 of A2 provides for a cleaner look of the overall neighborhood in an aerial image without property lines. The red balloon icon in the middle, due to the enormous, wonderful trees in front and back of the subject home, the home itself is very hard to see in this aerial image. I tried to get something that showed it, but the tree cover reached over the rooftops, and that was not possible to show the entire perimeter of the subject property. But the ground photos will fill in those missing blanks, and they come along on sheets 4 and 5 of A2. On sheet 4 of A2, image 1 in the upper left corner shows the subject property. In the middle of the photograph, an enormous, wonderful tree in the front yard to remain really speaks volumes for the charm that this property has in its current configuration. That tree will remain. I spoke with Mr. Hopkins about his intention with the tree in the front and the back, and they very much took pains to make sure that they would not be disturbed by the proposed additions. Image 2 in the upper right shows the subject property from a different angle. Instead of dead on, it shows the front and right side. The right side, by the way, is where the tenant accesses the second floor apartment. The entry is obscured by a shrub on the adjoining property to the north. It's sort of in the middle of that right side facade. Then in the lower left, image 3 shows the area within which the small addition in the front side portion no, it's actually the side behind the front part of the structure will be enlarging the bedroom area. And then in image 4, we have a view of the rear of the home, to which would be appended a 2-story addition to a distance towards the photographer in this view on image 4 of about 6 feet. In taking this picture, I'm standing in the paved parking area that currently exists today. Final part of A2 is page 5, showing the land uses adjoining the property in the immediate area. Image 5 shows the home to the south, single-family home. You can see a nice separation there
A metal tool shed is the closest structure to the applicant's property line. So plenty of room and space to be maintained in that configuration. Image 6 takes a view of the land uses across Grove Street from the subject property, well-vegetated side yards of properties facing on either street, flanking them. No homes face on Grove Street directly across from the subject property in that block. Image 5 in the lower left. Why are there a lot of image 5s? I'm sorry, folks. The image numbering is not correct. Forgive me for that. For the record, on page 4 or 5, the images are correctly numbered, image 1, 2, 3, and 4. On page 5, they should be image 5, 6, 7, and 8. I regret that error. But in any case, image 7 in the lower left shows the subject property at left and the adjoining property showing an existing single-family home to the right of the subject property. And then finally, taking a look from Aubrey Road to the rear, number 4 is the blue purplish building on the right and another building on the left. But the significance of this photo, you can squint and see between these two structures the existing roof of the home at 408 Grove Street, sort of dead between those two structures in the foreground. Purpose of this photo shows quite a bit of spacing between the projection to the rear and the home to the west. So these conditions of the property and the surrounding area informed my planning analysis. The substance of the application as described is simply for a D2 variance to expand a pre-existing non-conforming two-family dwelling. I was satisfied by the resolution of 1968. I'll give you that number in a moment. It was application 1968-01-24 that yielded an approval for the then owner to create an addition on their property. And in that deliberation, it was affirmed that this was a pre-existing non-conforming two-family dwelling at that time. So that, for me, is sufficient demonstration that this is indeed a lawfully established pre-existing two-family dwelling in the R1 zone where only one-family dwellings are permitted. So for this type of variance, a more relaxed standard is applied than if it were for a non-permitted use in the zone, and that is that if this were a D1 application, the applicant would have to demonstrate that this is a particularly suitable site for the non-permitted use, but this is pre-existing non-conforming use, so that element of proof is not required. Similarly, the enhanced quality of proof finding is not required either in a D2 analysis. What is required is a demonstration of special reasons and the two prongs of the negative criteria. So quickly moving into that realm, there are indeed special reasons for the grant of this application. As you heard, the site will remain a two-family use. But I want to point out very pointedly that you see in the photographs that the home today looks like a single-family dwelling. You might not know it was two-family if you didn't know about this application. That same look that blends it in with its surroundings will continue moving forward post-addition, should the board approve this application. So I think that's a significant aspect of this particular property. This will help retain the stability and use characteristic of the neighborhood by virtue of its visual aspects. This promotes purpose A of the municipal land use law towards the promotion of the general welfare. This lot is deep and therefore suitable for accommodating the expansion with plenty of room to do so without any new encroachment by the building and plenty of parking capacity besides. The expansion to the rear instead of the front retains the neighborhood harmony by leaving an established deep front yard intact in the aerial image and in the tax map image on Exhibit A2. We can go back to that if you want. It shows an indentation, if you will, of the interior properties along this block front that is a striking characteristic of this particular neighborhood, and this application will avoid any disturbance to that nice character-defining feature by proposing the addition to basically the rear of what's already there today. So by doing that, we leave that deep front yard intact. The squaring off in the rear is quite compatible with the immediate neighbors, customary for single-family dwellings to be squared off in a similar manner. Since this is a single-family zone, there are single-family bulk requirements. This two-family use squarely meets all of them as to setback, coverage, et cetera. And I think that's noteworthy that this adds to my conclusion that this is a suitable lot for an expansion of this particular use here. The purpose I of the municipal land use is to promote a desirable visual environment. By all of the touches that have been described to this moment in time in this hearing, will indeed make sure that this setting, this home, remains pretty much what you see today from Grove Street and even much of the surrounding lands. The impact is minimal to the character, and what will be changed will be compatible, as you heard from Ms. Brinkman. So I believe that that is a substantial benefit, public benefit, that will be assignable to this application. The discrete placement to the rear respects the existing neighborhood character, in other words. The Burbridge case, Burbridge v. Mine Hill, is a case that asserted this one special reason alone is sufficient to support the grant of a D2 variance. And there is another purpose of the land use law that adds to the special reasons list, and that is purpose M, which is the efficient use of land. 2 units here with less massing than a permitted use might attain, and good utilization of land for housing along a county road and near a major recreation facility, all combined to make this the efficient use of land, in my opinion. The negative criteria are satisfied, in my opinion. First, the neighborhood impact question. Is there a detriment of a substantial nature? And I must affirmatively say there is no such detriment. The design and size of the new space works very well with the existing setting. The project is well in conformance and in many cases exceeds key bulk requirements for single-family dwellings. The front back is 67 feet, where 25 feet is the minimum. I realize that the average setback measurement might prevent a front yard extension, but nonetheless, this application is in step with that intention by putting everything to the rear. The side yard setbacks are both more than the distance required. The rear setback is reduced by 5 feet, but even with that, still exceeds the 25-foot rear yard depth at 64.3 feet post-construction. It's roughly 2.5 times the rear yard requirement. And that's accruing to the 200-foot deep nature of this particular lot. The building coverage will be at 15.2%, where up to 25% is permitted. The height is going to land at 29 feet, where up to 35 feet is allowed. That's for the addition. So to finish that analysis with the negative criteria, we have adequate facilities in place to accommodate the ongoing use of this two-family home. That the use is not in question tonight, but the expansion. So there are adequate facilities to carry on with this use. Parking is more than adequate, in my opinion. Lots of additional on-site parking available when needed for family gatherings. Rare is the property that can do all of that. So as far as the zone plan impact, I reviewed the Unified Land Use and Circulation Plan adopted in 2023 and the Master Plan Reexamination Report adopted in 2016. The goals for residential land use clearly want residential neighborhoods to be respected and enhanced where possible, and this project does indeed deliver just that, in my opinion. This will continue to look like a one-family with the expansion discreetly to the side and rear, advancing the community character objectives of the master plan and zoning ordinance. This meets or exceeds the development standards for single-family use. So to me, there's no evidence of any departure from the zoning intent for the R1 district by virtue of approval of this application. Therefore, there's no basis, in my opinion, for concluding this project would even approach impairing the ability of the zone plan or zoning ordinance to function as intended moving forward. In conclusion, the modest expansion here is designed to be a good fit within its setting, and the project satisfies all elements of the statutory test for D2 relief, and I submit to you respectively, your approval is warranted. Thank you so much.
Mr. Moore, do you have any questions? Mr. Church?
No.
Mr. Simon? Mr. Vieira?
Yeah, I guess the only question I had was, so you had the opportunity to review the 1968 resolution.
Yes.
And at that point, the nonconformance was already in place, right?
The then board asserted that it was indeed a legal non-conforming two-family use.
But it doesn't say when, how long that was non-conforming? No.
No.
Okay.
But that board determined that fact was well enough established. How they got there, I don't know.
Okay, thank you.
I have no questions. Okay, just for the record, even though no one's visible, in case they're hiding behind the door, are there any members of the public who have any questions, testimony, statements, anything you want to say about the application? If not, is there anything further you want to say before we discuss and vote on the application? And I guess I should ask if you want us to proceed to a vote at this point.
If I can jump in, would it be possible for the board to do its usual polling of members about your perspective on the application before we render that matter?
I'm going to do the same thing when I tried to do that before another Board of Adjustment and had my head handed to me. I'll do this a little differently. If I had a concern, I would alert you.
Okay. Then in that case, I would like to move forward.
Thank
And
you.
if something happens untoward, we'll deal with it, but
Thank you.
I don't think there's any,
I got you.
I mean, you've heard the questions we've asked, and
Yep. Yeah, then I would like to move forward. Thank you.
okay, we'll start discussion with Mr. Vieira.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I mean, it has been established that this is a pre-existing non-conforming, so that was my only concern, and I think it's okay. I think the conditions that I will ask is to reconsider the location of the HVAC based on that report, and I think I'll be in favor.
Okay. Mr. Moore?
I don't see it as a detriment to the area, and maybe the only hardship may be to you if you have a sizable or growing family or anything like that. I think that it will be a nice aesthetic to the addition of the home, so I am in favor of your application.
Mr. Church?
I'm in favor of the application.
Mr. Simon?
I'm in favor.
also in favor of the application. I think this is actually a good case to point out the distinctions between the level of proofs for a D1 and a D2 variance, because I would not be in support of establishing a new two-family in an area that's overwhelmingly single-family homes, but this has been a two-family that, you know, the record does, you know, the 68 approval doesn't indicate how long, but my guess is that it was long before that, because if it had been illegally converted a couple years before, people would have noticed and jumped up and down. So, you know, this is a lawful, non-conforming two-family in zone. I think the planning testimony amply demonstrates that the necessary reasons to support a D2 variance are there, and really without any question. You know, this has been there for a long time. The additions are tasteful. They're basically not visible from the street. The application fully conforms with all bulk requirements. And, you know, there's ample room on the property for the addition. You know, this will not result in a substantial impairment to the zone plan or a substantial detriment to the public good. We should, even though I covered them up, require them to adhere to conditions 1 through 4 of the HPC report, and conditions 5 and 6 of that would be replaced by a requirement that the existing and proposed HVAC units conform to the ordinance. And even though the testimony was he's going to try and preserve that tree, which I strongly encourage you to do, but in the event that any trees need to be removed, that they comply with the tree removal ordinance in the township. Any other discussion? And if not, does someone want to make a motion?
I make a motion to approve the application and with the restrictions stated by the chair.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Go do it.
Thank you
I
very,
appreciate it.
very much.
Okay.
Have a good evening.
Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions?
We won't need two, just the one on the 19th.
Okay,
So the first one will cancel.
I'll be out of town, so I'll be
Just respond to my email that I send out in
Yeah,
advance
we've
so
done
that
that.
I can track it.
Okay.
But I appreciate you saying.
think we have a first one. I think
Oh, right, because it was close to the 4th, so yeah, we won't have. Oh, okay, yeah, so we won't have to cancel it.
Day after, yeah.
That's nice, one less thing I have to do.
we're in good shape in terms of not building up for August.
Yeah, I think we have, right now, 2. The one that got moved and then one additional.
And I will get back to you on the wording of the recommendations. I just, we did that.
Oh, that's fine, okay.